but
Shiva also lost, right?
yeah, Shiva also lost. Shiva actually is last even in the primary. He has a big story to tell about how fraud happens in
He lost in
elections.
the primaries. He wasn't in the.
He is a write-in candidate for the main elections.
Really?
He was yeah. He built a tremendous what is it called campaign in Massachusetts.
No, he went for the same position last time also with Elizabeth Warner. Yeah.
But what he says is actually frightening. The way the Massachusetts handles the elections. If we were to believe him, my God, too much.
I think everywhere, all the Democrat states have become like that.
So his speech is also over. Biden's speech. So it seems you are Rajamandri Kodalu. Few of my friends have told me Rajamandri Kodalu is.
Really?
So listen to your Rajamandri Kodalu and I sent videos. So they were circulating in Rajamandri.
Oh, really? Yeah. My in-laws are from Rajahmundry. Even now, all my in-laws are in Rajahmundry.
Me surname ఏంటండి మీ లాస్ట్ నేమ్
మా పుట్టింటిదా ఆత్మకూరి అండి.
ఆత్మకూరి ఓకే
ఆ స్ట్రాంగ్ క్వాలిటీస్ ఆత్మకూరి క్వాలిటీస్ అవి. I've gone out of my father, I believe. Yeah. Otherwise, Anantatmula people are very soft natured.
ఎక్కడ రాజమండ్రిలో ఎక్కడ ఉంటారు మీరు?
నన్నే అడిగారా? నా పెళ్ళైనప్పుడైతే మా అత్తగారు వాళ్ళు ఇన్నిస్పేటలో ఉండేవాళ్ళు.
ఓకే, ఇన్నిస్పేటలో.
ఇప్పుడు ఐ థింక్ రాజమండ్రిలోనే టువర్డ్స్ ద ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద సిటీ లోపల కూడా ఉన్నారు. అందరూ ఇళ్ళు కట్టుకుని దే ఆల్ మూవ్, బట్ దే ఆర్ ఆల్ ఇన్ ద సేమ్ ప్లేస్, సేమ్ అపార్ట్మెంట్ కాంప్లెక్స్. వాళ్ళందరూ ఒకే చోట ఉన్నారు.
One second, I'll call what happened to these guys, I don't know. Yeah, he came. We'll start Lalish because two people came. The Shiva Yadurai. Good evening, sir. How are you?
How are you?
Very good. Can you just little move backwards because your head is cutting like, yeah. Okay, we can start Lalish.
The light is here too.
Yes, sir. Just 2 minutes.
Sure. Okay. So the third gentleman comes when he comes. Admit him, please. Okay.
If I don't. Sorry, guess me. Senator, sorry, light off this.
Senator, you have a big light coming on from your side. If you can little bit. Yeah. To your right, there is a light coming.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get it in.
Yeah, because your face is looking dull.
Yes. I can see it.
Yeah.
Turn the light off.
I'll turn it off.
Let's see what happens. The top light.
Yeah. Now it's far better.
Okay. Where the hell is it?
Thanks, Lalish.
All right, Papa.
Okay.
Good luck with everything. Have a good night.
Right.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
There's some background noise, Krishna. I don't know who's. Yeah.
Lalish, maybe. Lalish, background noise.
Yes, sir. Then after some time, I will stop the.
Okay. Okay, fine.
After countdown, I will stop it.
Okay.
Ready, sir?
I'm just gonna sign out of my email.
Alish, how do I get all the people in the video? How do I get them? Like you have?
1 second, sir.
Yeah, we lost it.
I'm gonna bring it back up, I promise. I just wanted to close my email. There we go.
Okay,
Good night, Papa.
good night.
Alish?
Yes, sir. Ready. 30 seconds. Ready. Ready, 10, 9,
I'm ready.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome back to Spotlight, the weekly edition, weekend edition. This week onwards, we are going to have Spotlight only on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. America has just concluded the elections, and there were 290 electoral seats won by Biden and 214 won by Trump. There are still some seats are pending. Senate, 48 seats are won by Democrats and 48 seats won by Republicans, and then 2 seats went to runoff on January 5th in Georgia. House balance is 214 seats won by Democrats and 195 seats were Republicans, and 24 seats are still pending to be declared. And this is the state of affairs. Now, Joe Biden has given his victory speech while Trump right now playing golf, rather in the evening playing golf in his golf course in Virginia, and then he did not concede the defeat. So here we have Senator Sam Thompson and Manga. They are there to talk to us on various issues about what Joe Biden is going to do and what Trump campaign is going to do in the coming few days before the official results are declared by those individual states. And then what is the plan? What would be the plan for Republicans to win at least majority in the Senate? Over to you, Senator. So how do you see this victory of Joe Biden?
Well, there is still one factor out there that could have a significant impact on the presidential election. In Michigan, they discovered there was a software glitch in one of the counties. That glitch caused 6,000 Republican votes to be tabulated as 6,000 Democrat votes, 12,000 vote swing. And there are actually 47 counties in Michigan that use that same system. In addition, there were 30 states that use that same system.
36 states, yes, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what that, in swing states, if that system was used extensively, it could have an impact. So that would be interesting to see how that comes out. But the other factor, which you mentioned right there, it was expected to be just a blue wave wiping out Republicans, but it was not a blue wave. In fact, as you note, there were actually Republican gains in Congress and the Senate at the current time. It appears the Republicans will definitely have 50. And then you have the 2 seats down in Georgia. Thus, Georgia is the only state that reviews this like a primary, in which the candidates must get 50% plus 1 in order to be elected. And in both the Senate races, nobody got that.
Yeah, both ended up in 49%. Yeah.
On January 5th, there will be election, and that will determine whether we have a 50-50 Senate or whether the Republicans actually have 51. If it's 50-50, the vice president will decide to cast a deciding vote on any tie vote. But if the Republicans pick up one of those seats in Georgia or either, then there will be a real check on what Biden is able to do relative to what he has proposed to do, and like increasing taxes and many other things. In fact, if you have a 50-50 Senate, I would think there might be some things where a Democrat might peel off and not support him. So that's what we really need to keep an eye on, is those 2 Senate races in Georgia. They will undoubtedly be the most expensive races ever, and massive people working on both of those elections. In addition, they expected that they would take a lot of state houses. They did not, that is, state legislators. Next year, the legislatures will redraw the congressional districts, which is very important. They were not successful in taking those. In fact, the Republicans, I think, may have gained 1 or 2. So that will have an impact also next year.
To you, Manga, your opinion on this election outcome is the victory claimed by Biden will last till the certification of the results. What would happen?
Well, I mean, the media is saying he won, but then he's still not certified. I think President Trump is filing several lawsuits, and following the judgment of the lawsuits, then we can determine whether there is a real victory or there's going to be recounting, and what the court thinks is appropriate direction or action to be taken. So Democrats and Joe Biden taking hasty decisions and actions, giving that kind of speech. And I think they should have respect for whatever the Supreme Court is going to give their statement on. Then based on whatever the Supreme Court has to say, then probably that should be what we should all go by as citizens of the United States, and we should respect the verdict that comes out of Supreme Court. I think it is too soon for anybody to celebrate or anybody to concede. So that's my opinion. I think if they want to celebrate, let them celebrate. But then from the Trump campaign, I think they do not want to concede at this point until and unless something has been decided in the Supreme Court. And they have very strong argument that there are some irregularities, and they have strong evidence, and we need to see what is going to be presented and how the courts and judges are going to review those evidences that are being presented. So I think they are saying that by Monday, they're going to move the court. So let's wait and watch what's going to happen. We have to patiently wait, not be freaking out, not be too worked out on this issue. And we have to wait and watch and what the Supreme Court has to say.
But lawsuits, most of the lawsuits were dismissed by those individual courts. At least in Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court has only ordered to count them separately, not to mix with this one. But it's not as a clear victory, whereas Rudy Giuliani is saying that they want to bring in a lot of cases forward to in Michigan and Wisconsin, as well as in Nebraska. But we don't know. We have to keep waiting and then see what will happen to all these cases. And meanwhile, there is going to be Republican supporters are going to file a class action lawsuit in different cases. So what will happen? We'll have to see, wait and watch next week. That's what I have in one of our polls conducted by us. The people told the election result will be not coming until 7th of this month. So is it happened? And then I think it's going to take some more time before we have a clear winner at this point of time. Tell us, Senator, about the 75 million votes that Biden has gotten and 70 million votes that Trump has gotten. And out of 75 million votes that Biden has gotten, they are all from California. At least 4 million, 4.1 million are from California. And if you take New Jersey and New York, they are 5.5 million. That means without these three states, he's in deficit. So your comment about the different campaigns, how they build to get this kind of votes, and then which is hollow and which is a real kind of support that is there in these 75 millions or 70 millions. Senator, to you.
I don't expect what I spoke of to have any impact on states like California, New York, New Jersey, etc. But in those states where the votes were close, it could make a difference and reverse the outcome. So, but I agree with what both of you said, that what we have to do is sit and wait and watch the outcome of these various court filings. There's a numerous issues that suits have been filed over. In fact, I'm not sure whether there's a suit on this, but there was a report that in one state, all of a sudden 23,000 votes came in. And it was 23,000 to 0. Now, I can't think of any area that can find 23,000 people that there'll be no votes for the other candidate. There's a lot of issues out there yet to be resolved.
Manga, your opinion on this 75 million to 70 millions? I think it's a record in the US history that a president both of the candidates, president as well as incumbent president as well as the president-elect as on today, they got so many votes. I think the last time we got was only in Kennedy election, 1960s. Tell us about how do we see this 75 million and 70 million?
This is definitely the most historic election, as we have been always saying. I think this is really a phenomenal historic election ever in the history of United States, and people realize that how important their vote is. So it is expected that all voters are going to come out and cast their vote to decide who their next president is going to be. And of course, I mean, there's big cities like states like California and New York. Of course, they are going to have a higher number of population because of the immigrant population and other populations. It's always these cities are the most densely populated cities they have always been. So it doesn't surprise me that everyone in those cities do decide to vote and they go out and vote. Yeah, of course, definitely those numbers will be big, but then we can't say just because in those cities they have the highest number of voters, it means anything. Of course, the electoral votes will definitely be there, but those electoral votes will always be there regardless of whether the entire population in those cities are voting or not. So that's the greatness of this country. We go by electoral votes and not by popular votes. So that's why this is the best republic and the great nation on the face of the earth, because we believe that every voter matters regardless of which state they live in, and whether southern or midland or in anywhere, they all have their representation. That's the best part of this country, and that's part of this constitution. So I wouldn't be worried about popular vote at all. Popular vote is just popular vote, number of people. But my eyes are only fixed on the electoral votes president would be getting past this Supreme Court judgment.
Let us come back to about the 75 million votes and 70 million votes for Trump. And do you believe, Senator, that Trump has built, rather got a lot of working class people, blue collar, white collar kind of people who are away from Republican Party into the fold of Republican Party? Do you believe that he has built a movement, not a election this point of time, which is going to go forward for a long time for Republicans?
Well, you're correct. He did make a good deal of inroads with the working class out there. That's based upon what he accomplished, what he did, rather than what he says. It's unfortunate that too many people are voting based on they don't like what he says. We should judge a candidate for public office by what he accomplishes, not what he says. I mean, it's nice to have somebody speak polite and adequate and all that, etc. But if they don't accomplish a bloody thing, is that what you really want? But if they do accomplish major things, that should be your number one factor. And he has. His accomplishments out there are tremendous. Now, hey, if we had not had this pandemic, there would have been no contest. The pandemic caused people to think about, well, is he doing it right or not doing it right, et cetera. Biden says, oh, he's got a plan, but you haven't really seen a plan. He will benefit from Operation Warp Speed, in which the vaccine is going to be available shortly near the end of the year. That is what we have to have in order to overcome this pandemic, is a vaccine, and for the population to get inoculated. That is what will stop it. I mean, it's good to say wear a mask and say social distance and so on, but that has not been successful in stopping it. What will be successful is when the vaccine's out, and with Operation Warp Speed, Trump will have developed a vaccine in time that would have just been unheard of at any other time. And that's what's going to bring the end of the pandemic. Even with the pandemic, the amount of recovery that he has established here, the number of unemployment has dropped down to 6.9% from almost 14%. And while the pandemic is still out there rendered, that's because of the work he's done to get people back to work. And of course, this garbage stuff that's been going on down in Washington, that they could not come back with another economic stimulus package. Let's watch how fast it'll get passed now.
Okay. To you, Manga. Do you think that Trump has built a big movement to bring a lot of people come into the fold of Republican Party? And then who is going to take it forward in case the election go against Trump? As he says, he still did not concede, but in case, go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. He build a movement? Yes, absolutely. He built a great movement. I have never seen in the past 30 years that many people from the Republican Party coming out and voting. And it is simply so astounding that we have never seen this kind of a movement before. He definitely created some waves and history, and he changed the face of Republican Party and its identity. He brought some unity into the party that like we have never seen before. The kind of sense of responsibility that everybody must go out and vote. I think he has in that front, he has done phenomenal. And I have to accept with Senator Thompson that a leader or a president has to be judged by what he has accomplished and not what he says. He might have some rough edges, but then that's him. We have to accept a person as what they are, and for the country, what he has done and what he has accomplished. And that's what is important. Yes, definitely the economy growth was fantastic, phenomenal, that we have never seen before the pandemic, and even during pandemic. And he has done excellently to try to bring some to rebounds our economy and also our employment rate. But unfortunately, had the vaccine being ready by the election, that would have actually changed the face of this election. But then is the rest of the world ready for the pandemic? Were they ready by for the pandemic? No. You think had it been Democrats, they would have been ready for the pandemic of this gravity? Absolutely not. I mean, they can blame the president as much as they want. The rest of the world is in the same boat as United States. So it is a little harsh to judge him so harshly than others. The vaccine anyway is going to be there by end of this year, as promised, I believe, hopefully. And that credit must go to President Trump. Just because he won before he leaves office, probably he may have a vaccine ready for us. Of course, again, if they are talking about, I thought President Biden was talking about having mandatory masking. I would be the first one to go out and protest if there is a mandatory masking for people. I mean, just because they believe we have to wear a mask, am I going to wear a mask? I'll say adios. I have my constitutional rights, my freedom of speech, and my body, my right. I mean, only when it comes to Planned Parenthood, there is my body, my right. I don't know whether I'll be really killed by pandemic. The probability is 0.001, but wearing a mask, I'm definitely going to die in 20 minutes of continuous wearing a mask. So that probability is 100%. So who can come and refute me?
So do you think that pandemic, the way Trump has handled the pandemic, are the voters were not influenced by pandemic, Manga?
See, that's a very tricky question. All right. He said, okay, let the states handle the way they want to handle. Ask me what you need, and I'll provide you whatever help you need. And look at New York. He had sent a Navy ship with 2,500 beds and crew and doctors and everything, medicines and all the testing kits and everything. But did they use it at the end? They did not use it. So what happened then? Governor Cuomo and also Pelosi, they went out and publicly told everybody, no, everything is fine. Go ahead and do it. I mean, live your normal life. I mean, it was left to the states to decide. It was not for the president to put a mandate on how they should run, because the states did not want to have a federal mandate on them. So why now go blame President Trump for what the states have made the decision to take their own decisions, what is best for their state. So pandemic and what happened during the rioting during the summer? Did people follow social distancing? Did people follow?
No. Finally, your answer is, do you think that whatever, again, let me talk about the popular vote. So many people voted for him, and then so nearly as many people have voted for Biden, that many people have voted for Trump. Senator, do you think that the pandemic played a role in this election or no at all?
Yes.
I'd just like to add something relative to the COVID there. As she mentioned, when it broke out, well, first off, the president immediately halted travel from China. He halted travel from Europe, and it's estimated hundreds of thousands of lives were saved by that, his quick closure. While Biden called him xenophobic and racist and everything else for doing it. In addition, as was mentioned, they did build these additional facilities to take care of patients in New York, sent the red ship up there and they, as she said, they did not use it. But in addition, Governor Cuomo and Governor Murphy here in New Jersey, both of them put out orders requiring long-term care facilities to take people back from hospitals that had the virus. Consequently, between 40 and 50% of all fatalities were people in long-term care facilities in New York and New Jersey. And Cuomo wants to say, look what a great job I did. No, I mean, that was not the orders of the president. That was the orders of those governors.
So basically, see, what I understand from both of you is that the handling of pandemic is the responsibility of the local governments. The president has to only ensure the supplies, whatever are required, and which he did carefully. But only thing that he did not do is he did not wear mask by himself. So did it play a role in bringing down?
Yes, he did not wear a mask himself on many occasions. But let me say, if you make your decision whether to wear a mask or not because of whether the president wears one, I don't know about you. I think those were decisions people made, not because the president did or did not have a mask, but that was their own personal decision. And as for the president issuing guidelines to be applied to every state, things are very different in New York from out in Wyoming or New Mexico or something like that. No, it should be, the rules and regulations should be related to what the extent of the problem is where you're at. I mean, you know, to put it where you have major outbreaks in New York and New Jersey, to put in the same rules out there in these Midwestern states and Western states and Southern states, it would not have been appropriate. But as things change, then your rules change, or your proposals and et cetera. If you compare what has happened here in the US with other countries, hey, we didn't do that bad at all. In fact, while they see some sign of a second wave coming here, boy, look at what is happening over in the countries in Europe. They're having to close down and everything else. So we're still doing far better than those countries are.
And also, Krishna,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Krishna, I want to add one more thing. And people had so much issues about constructing the wall in the southern borders. If we did not have southern borders at the time of pandemic, we would have had huge influx of people coming into our borders, causing more havoc, already suffering with pandemic because the medical facilities that are available in this country are phenomenal, and they're really best than any other country that can provide. So that way, without that wall, we would have had a bigger disaster than what we had now. And even without stopping the international travel, even though he was being called a racist, he went ahead and did what is best for people. He did not care for being called names. So that saved a lot of lives. And I agree with everything Senator Thompson had to say. I mean, yes, every state has to deal by themselves based on their situation, and the federal government gives them some aid and people and money, and which he did. Pandemic did play a role, but people did not see all the good things that he did in his power to enable the governors to control the pandemic in their states. But some democratic states did not do well because they always saw him as an enemy. They always wanted to do something different, opposite of whatever he usually suggests, and that's the route they take, and that's the responsibility they have to take. So I feel that is something that he has handled the best he can in that circumstances that he was in.
So you basically, go ahead, Senator, go ahead.
There was a lot of criticism about the mass rallies that he had through the campaign and so on. Did you hear one report of an outbreak having been attributed to any of his mass rallies?
The Democratic Favorite Institution, Harvard, has conducted a study. It is 30,000 people who got COVID were due to the rallies, and out of which 700 people who died were due to the rallies. That's what they told.
You're saying there is some place they said a rally had mass consequences?
Yeah, that's what is a study conducted by. Yeah.
For Barrett, but aside from that, I did not hear in one state they're saying, "Oh, after he had his rally, we had all these cases of people who said they attended his rally."
Let us come back to again the CARES Act, Corona Aid Relief Act, which is I think a lot of other things are pending as on today, because Trump does not want to bail out the states. So Nancy wanted to bail out the states, so therefore that is stalled. So what will happen when the House resumes in this lame duck government until January 20th? Do you think that Nancy will pass the bill? Yeah,
I think Nancy is ready to cut a deal now that the election is over. She just did not want a deal before the election because she felt it would be good for Trump. Now I'm sure she'll be willing to come to the table and have a reasonable discussion.
So what do you say, Manga?
Oh, absolutely. Nancy Pelosi has been absolutely, in my words, I did not want to use today, but I have to use because the topic, I mean, she was absolutely disgusting that she just simply can't put people before her dirty politics. That's where she is, and that's what she has always been. When all these people were suffering, she was only thinking about the elections and winning the election big for so many months and not taking care of people who actually elected her, and we put our trust in our representatives. It's for people to decide, and they have already made a decision and cast their vote, and we have to wait and watch who is on the right and who is on the wrong. And probably this would be a very interesting waiting time for us to be calm and let things happen.
So what will the people of Georgia will do? Will they vote for balance of power, or will they give clean sweep the House, Senate, as well as presidency presidency and houses to Republicans? Do they give Senate also to, the president, and then House will be to Democrats after January 20? And will the people of Georgia give Senate to Democrats or keep the balance of power? Your opinion, Sam Thompson. Senator.
Again, as you say, related to the balance of power, first off, the Democrats have lost seats here as far as Congress goes. They will still be in control over there.
Yeah, they lost seats, yes.
But
quite a lot of them.
The key thing here is going to be the Senate, because as I say, the Republicans are going to have at least 50. We have those seats down in Georgia. That's going to determine. And if you're 50-50, then they'll have to call the vice president in to break the vote. But I think that there are a number of things they would want to push that you'll probably see some Democrat defections on. Consequently, it won't end up being 50-50, 51, 52 in the Republican direction, because there's some wild things out there that they have talked about doing in the run up to the election. Some of those Democrats are still in seats that, well, in fact, you only had a third of the Senate up right now. Each time you only have a third. So another third of the Senate will be up in 2 more years. And some of those senators are going to be very careful about how they vote on some significant issues, Democrat senators I'm referring to.
What will be the agenda that will ruin the country if Democrats were given the control over House, Senate, as well as presidency? So do they declare DC as a state, and then do they include the Puerto Rico as one of the states, so that there will never be a chance for Republicans to win Senate ever again? Senator.
Again, you were asking about adding new states and so on. Was that your question?
Yeah, they have the plan to make DC as a state, so that the Senate will be 102, and then another 2 from Puerto Rico, so that 104, and then the 4 senatorial seats will definitely be Democrats. So there will never be a balance of power.
Certainly, if we get one seat out of Georgia, that will never happen. If we don't get one seat out of Georgia, I'm still not certain that they will be able to get that done. So that's what I say about the problems we're going to have with the more radical ideas they're coming up with.
Manga, your opinion on the Democrats' agenda of packing courts to increasing the senatorial seats by adding states?
Yeah, definitely they would love to see DC become a state and get some state, because they know DC will never be red. It'll always be blue, and it will play a huge role. But I don't think it will be passed in the Senate. But as Senator Thompson says, it's time for people to really start thinking and acting very responsible, and make sure the remaining 2 Senate seats, how they are going to play in defending our Constitution, in defending this country. Well, if that power balance of power shifts, then I think it'll be so out of hand that we'll always end up with a very radical ideological leaning in the government that is going to be formed. So definitely that's going to play a huge role. And I think both parties will start focusing on the senatorial candidates and those seats. And I think they would already start working on them. And I think my eyes are set on senatorial candidates, who they are going to pick and how they are going to win the Georgia. And also, now that there is a little bit of issues with Georgia election, how it is, and it may
Georgia is the secretary ordered for recounting by himself because of
recounting and everything. If the Republicans were the ones who really voted, and that they know that they did vote for President Trump, and they're very sure. But somehow there's some fraudulent actions and goes to Democrats, that will have a backlash in the senatorial elections. Definitely, people are smart. People can judge. They cannot cheat every time. They can only get away once. People will get smarter, and they will have a backlash. If they have cheated and that's what is proved, they'll definitely see a backlash. And that would be a good thing for Republicans, at least in my thinking. Probably Senator Thompson might be thinking differently. I would like to hear his wisdom on how that's going to play.
Well, I tend to agree with what you've said. Among the Democrat senators, there are some Democrat senators that are in conservative areas. And if they were to vote to pack the court, expand the court, if they were to vote to add Puerto Rico and Washington as states, quite frankly, they would not be senators anymore. And I think it would take that into consideration if those issues come up. And again, as they say, the worst situation we're going to have in the Senate is a 50-50 split, because Republicans do win North Carolina, Republicans do win Alaska, that gives them 50. So again, some of those Democrat senators, if they go too far off the pasture there, they will be out, and they don't want to be out. So when you come to some of the more radical things, I think they will go with the Republicans.
Yeah. Before this, do you think that Nancy's agenda of bringing the voting age restriction to 16, is it a good idea, or is she forcing so that Democrats are going to win ever again?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Bringing the voting age to 16 years from 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
She want to do that. She want to push that agenda of bringing the voting age less, bringing the barrier down. Yeah.
Dropping it down to 16?
16, yes.
I think they might have a problem with that. I mean, 16 years old, we're still pretty immature. I think 18 is an appropriate age. Of course, in a number of states and so on, if you're 17 but going to be 18 by the general election, you can vote in the primary and then you can vote in the general election. I think going down to 16 would be going a bit too young. Yeah, quite frankly, one of my biggest problems is how uneducated many voters are when they go to vote. I'll give you an illustration unique to New Jersey here. In New Jersey, up until legislation we just passed, we had an office called freeholder. You could stop 10 people on the street and ask them, what is a freeholder? If 1 out of 10 could tell you, but every year when they go vote, they vote for freeholders. They don't even know what the office is or what they do, much less who's serving in it or anything else, and they elect freeholders. But there's many other things that they go to the polls uninformed on. If you start going down to 16-year-olds, I think you'll have even more of a problem.
Yeah, that's what you said is true. Okay. Coming to again the issue of Bernie Sanders, what kind of role that Bernie Sanders and his squad going to play in the new government from January 20th?
Well, that's another problem that Biden is going to have. Bernie will be pushing the ultra-progressive social agenda, and his OAC and his other supporters will be pushing it too. So to keep his party together, he's got to deal with them. And that's going to present, that's why I'm saying again, you come up with some of those issues, you'll see some Democrats defecting from them. Just as you had, let's see, this congresswoman who just barely got reelected, she was talking about, hey, we got to stop talking about socialism, defunding the police, et cetera. That's not what the people out there want. And so if Sanders is able to push Biden to go to a lot of things he wanted to do, that would be a disaster for the Democrats.
Yeah, today I think one of the Virginian
on the other hand,
yes,
he can't do anything without his help. So he's in a lose-lose situation.
Manga, your opinion on Sanders and his agenda and how Biden can resist or approve, and if Biden approves his agenda, then what will happen?
I mean, a video has surfaced on the internet of Bernie Sanders having a Zoom meeting with the squad. He's already planning that it's okay. We can handle Joe Biden. We can turn him. We can push our progressive agendas, and that's easy. I mean, that's the attitude I think Bernie Sanders is having. I think Bernie Sanders in his age, I think he should now go bye-bye, and with his radical thinking, somebody should retire him. I think that will be a bad news. And I don't know whether Joe Biden is going to give a real hard push for these progressives. We have to wait and see if he's going to prevail stronger than the squad and Bernie Sanders. I'm really waiting to see how he's going to resist them not passing such progressive agendas and radical agendas and the ideologies. So
I'll play the video. Just let's see the video again.
More evidence the far left is ready to hijack a Joe Biden presidency if he wins. Bernie Sanders with this message to the squad.
We understand that electing Biden is not the end all. It is the beginning. Biden's proposals in this campaign are a lot stronger than they were in the primary. Do they go as far as we would want? No, they don't. We're not giving up on our agenda. We're going to introduce Medicare for all. Believe me, we are. Green New Deal. We ain't giving up on that. We organize our people to make sure that Biden becomes the most progressive president since FDR.
He may not only have problems with Bernie Sanders, he might even have problems with his vice president. You know, Kamala, when she was in the Senate, she was rated the most liberal senator there based on her votes. So I'm not sure how that will interplay either. I mean, she's not exactly in line with him on all of his thoughts either.
right, I agree with him.
Do you think that in the coming elections or whatever are the next elections on January 5th for the Senate in Georgia, shouldn't Republican Party also, instead of criticizing what those state governors are doing for the mail-in ballots, should they not concentrate on mail-in ballots? Republicans from
The public, we had a tremendous amount of people calling my office, did not want to vote by mail.
Mhm.
I think that that created so much confusion and the mess that we have out there. In fact, that's why we're still waiting for the votes to be counted. It was not something that was real popular with the populace out there doing it. That is, hey, having absentee ballots where you ask for it and sent for you, yes, we need to have that. People have problems, but in terms of telling everybody you cannot go vote in person, you have to use a mail-in ballot. Thus, here in Jersey, as you know, well, if you wanted to go to the polls, you could. But if you went to the polls, you were told, bring your vote by mail, give it to them, drop it there, then you can vote on a paper provisional ballot. You still can't vote on a machine. So the difference between a paper provisional ballot and a vote by mail. There was a significant portion of the population that did not like that at all.
Do you mean, see, I just want to...
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Well, there is a bill in the legislature here which indicates that if enacted, it would say the governor can issue an emergency order, but if he wants to extend it past 15 days, he has to get the legislature to vote to do it. This is a bill we need to get enacted in there to get some control over runaway governors.
Yeah. One important thing that I want to just bring a correlation here is around the same time that the elections are being held in America, there were elections in India in one of the specific state. India, is a developing state, while America, we call it as a developed nation. People stood up in the lines, people far more poorer and people from the villages where the voting centers are not very nearby. They came all the way in the pandemic and then voted in the voting machines, the electronic voting machines, and the results will be declared in no time. So why Democrats want to regress the whole progress that we have made, and why are they taking us back to the ages where we used to have paper ballots? And then there is a lot of problems in scanning, that kind of volumes of data, scanning machines, and then if you go in person and vote, it's a provisional ballots. It's not counted unless they tally the mail-in ballots. So it is a lot of confusion for us, and then the way they verify the signatures there is also a lot of confusion. So do you think that they are taking the country backwards, Senator?
Yes, I do. And the additional thing that people feel about it is that if they go in there and they punch their votes in on a machine, that vote will be counted. It will be counted properly. If they use a mail-in ballot, there's all these stories about, well, the mail may not get delivered, or it may get lost in the mail, or another thing. So people don't have confidence that when they use a vote by mail that it's going to get in there, or that it will be counted correctly. I mean, the games that can be played with mail-in ballots are just untold, the number of games that can be played. But when you go in and you punch that button on the machine, you know your vote is cast there, and you know your vote is going to be counted. Well, I say that, but of course, I will repeat what I said at the beginning. They have discovered a software glitch. Well, no, that wasn't using machines. That was counting paper ballots. Again, 6,000 Republican votes were counted as Democrats with the machine that they used for counting those. That was in one county.
So definitely, I think they are taking this country backward because it suits them. That gives them the leverage to do fraud. And if they can get rid of the Republican Party, then they would all want to go for the EVM with biometrics. Why not go now? Because this is the only way they can actually create voter fraud, to create some confusion among people. So this is the only way they can survive. So that has always been their modus operandi. And they do not want anybody to go out of their comfort zone and say, okay, I'm very happy, as Senator said, you push that button. They know that they have really cast that vote and they are very comfortable. No, they do not want anybody to have that kind of high-handedness without any glitch or any issues. They want to control everything. It's all about control. It's all about doing things they want that benefits their party. So even it means to taking the country 60 years back. I mean, even in India, we don't have paper ballots anymore. We have EVM and biometrics. When I suggested this during my campaign, and my opponent, Jerry Connolly, he went all berserk and calling me all names. He just got so freaked out. That tells me that this voting fraud has always already in the play and been planted in our election cycle this 2020. That's the reason why he got so upset by me saying that why are we still using the paper ballots? This gives way to fraud. Definitely they are taking this country backward. I think Republicans need to step in stronger. They have to get our act together. Sometimes I keep telling my local units also that they need to get their act together and not act like the Republican Party that was created in 1776, but they need to start acting like they are in 2020. So we are in the 21st century. We need to start using and thinking differently and start acting differently and get our act together. Probably this election cycle has taught us a little bit more wisdom to put our foot down for certain better legislations, or we do not pass the bill that they want. So it has to be give or take. And if it has to be an arm twisting, maybe it has to be an arm twisting, but we have to get this thing done for this country to be better in future and better have election and results so that we don't end up in the same situation again.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Let's concentrate in the next 5 minutes on what should Trump be doing if this legal battle he wins. Anyways, fine, we know all what he is going to do. And if he doesn't win the legal battle, what he should be doing. And then see, currently you can see, I shared the screen. This photograph was by Associated Press. It showed Trump is playing golf now and he's not worried. His campaign has given a statement, quote, "The simple fact is the election is far from over. Joe Biden has not been certified as the winner of any states, let alone any of the highly contested states he headed for mandatory recounts are states where our campaign has valid legal and legitimate legal challenges that could determine the ultimate victor." So this is what he has done while playing golf. Now, what should be way forward for the Republican Party in general, and then Trump in particular? I know Trump is a person who never cannot accept defeat. Okay, I'm still wondering how he can play golf at this point of time. Is he so much composed, or is something brewing in, or what he should do and what he should be doing? I want to listen from you, Senator.
Well, if things stand as they are and Trump is not reelected, he does have a bit more than 2 months left in office. There are many things that he can accomplish, and I'm sure he'll be working hard on them for the benefit of the American people. I think he has really formed the party as it is today, and in even a better manner it was. He has done so much outreach. You know, the increase in votes that he got from the African American community, from the the Hispanic community and so on, and they want to call him racist, but he's got more votes from them than any Republican ever has done. He's done so much outreach But I think you'll see him working like a wizard for the next 60, 70, 80 days. That's the time he's in there. If he's out of office after that, but I think you'll probably be amazed at what he gets done in that time frame.
You, Manga.
Yeah, I agree with Senator. He's just, President Trump is going to do what is best for this country, even if he doesn't win. I think he would be more graceful in still doing his duties in the best capacity he can, and he will get accomplished something at least. Maybe he will definitely leave a legacy of giving us a vaccine for people who really want to have a vaccine for the sanity of from this COVID. So he may leave his legacy, and I really hope he wins. And even if he doesn't win, I want him to leave a legacy, a realization, a sense of unity, and among people who hate him, maybe God can give them a sense of shame that no one person should be given that much hate that they have given him in the past 4 years, for the last 4 years. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping for the best. And usually when President Trump says, I have this in control, I'm sure he has something in his up his sleeve that is going to work out for him. Even if it doesn't work out, we have to think for the benefit of this country and just simply move on.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And I have been seeing in the televisions that this election, when the results were, the president-elect was announced called by these TV channels. Everywhere there is jubilation, people were celebrating. On the other side, people were not indulging in something that we have seen in 2016 election, where people came out onto the streets stating that not my president, not my president. That movement has continued until after he has been elected as a president. And I hope his fans and his base is so disciplined, and it will be disciplined. And also, Mr. Trump has started his rallies immediately after becoming president. I think from January, February, he started, February, March, he started his rallies, meeting the people and then thanking them for voting him and describing how he won. Now, I feel that we should do the same thing again, be in touch with people, and then he has to build this conservative movement and Republican movement so that in next 4 years, again, Republican will come back with his help, or he himself can come back. That's what I hope for. Thank you, Senator Thompson. Thank you, Manga, for coming on to the show. I wish you all the best for today. Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. And thanks for having us on.
Okay, sir. Bye.
Thank you, Senator. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. You do point out the difference between the Democrat supporters and Republicans. Republicans are not out in the street burning and ravaging.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Republicans have the decency not to go out and start screaming, "Not my president." I'm that way. I'm proud how they are conducting themselves versus what it was in 2016. All these 4 years, that's all we have been hearing: "Not my president, not my president." Hopefully, people would have learned the lesson. Our president deserves respect, regardless whether you have voted for that person or not. And thanks, Senator. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for Mana TV for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.